Hi guys and welcome back to Tommy's StarCraft. This is your host Tommy with another StarCraft Remastered replay for you guys. Once again we have a great engagement here in between the two pro players from the South Korean scene. This game has been played in the year 2012, so really interesting matchup here for you guys. Now let me just start by introducing the players to you guys. As we have spawning here in the lower right in the orange it is BISU. And his opponent here in the lower left in the red it is BOGUS. So both players from South Korea. BOGUS of course also very talented Terran player, as they're spawning here on circuit breakers, a 4 spawning location map. So yeah, let's just see exactly. Once again we have a Protoss versus Terran in here, as BISU this time opting here to go for a pylon near to his base. He's of course known in many replays on this channel to go for a pylon in the outside just to secure his expansion with a forge, but this time he's playing it a little bit different here against his opponent. Perhaps he's going to try something else in here, so a different build order here for BISU. And the pretty standard stuff here for BOGUS with one of his supply depots in here. And pretty soon he's very likely going to continue with a barracks into this position. Or who knows, maybe he's going to try a fast expansion. Now BISU already moving out here with his probe. Let's just see exactly this. Of course a scouting probe, a very early scouting probe. At the 1 minute and 30-second mark here for BISU. His gateway is also up. Both players at a 10 worker count, so pretty standard stuff here. And a lucky scout perhaps here for BISU, as he's heading right into the right direction here into BOGUS's base, who has continued here with a barracks, and there is his extractor in here. So the pretty standard stuff here by both players, nothing out of the ordinary. In comes the probe here for BISU, checks a little bit the expansion, and now he's finally going to see here the Terran, as he's already here being annoying. Tries to deny some working time here for this SCV. This SCV already taking quite some damage in here, so the SCV has to fight in here. And one SCV even disappears into the gas, so really nice trick here by BOGUS as he continues with another SCV. His barracks build up in here, so yeah, BISU is going to stay of course once again as much as possible into this position. It's going to be annoying as possible. One SCV already very low in here. He might get repaired from one of his buddies, actually 2 buddies repairing him here. So really great reaction here by BOGUS. The shields are almost up here for this probe, as he's going to keep continuing here his stay, but then again there is a marine, so BOGUS actually thinks that BISU is in the upper left part, but sadly for him no, he's in the low right part. So in comes the first zealot here for BISU, and BISU even feeling confident enough to expand while harassing here his opponent. So expansion is up, another the gas is also up. And what did he build here? A cybernetic scroll of course for his dragoons, because like you know guys, dragoons early on very great counter towards those marines. This is why exactly most Terrans go into mechanical units, into tanks, Goliaths, and vultures. Of course vultures early on with those mines. We saw how good they are defensively against the Protoss, just forcing the Protoss into an observatory and forcing him to stay home. Now finally the SCV is heading into the right direction. He's going to see this early expansion here from BISU. The ramp is a little bit blocked in here by BISU, and pretty soon the first dragoons will be out on the map. There's even a second gateway here for BISU, as he's also transferring here some probes. So in comes the SCV, nicely getting blocked here by BISU, really doing a good job in here. And yeah, let's have a look at the follow-up in here, as the second zealot is actually returning home here for BISU. So BISU deciding not to be very aggressive in here, and BOGUS also preparing here his expansion wall in with this barracks, with this bunker in here. So yeah, pretty standard stuff here by the Terran. Pretty soon he's going to go for those factories. There's this first factory, and pretty soon many factories will of course follow, as we know that most Terrans really like to go into those siege tanks, into those vultures and so on. So yeah, BISU with his first dragoon out, perhaps he's going to try a bust in here through, but I don't see the range upgrade now being made here for BISU. So BISU keeping it very late. There is that robotics facility though, so he might try a harassment here with a dropship, with some reavers. Some high tempers are of course an option. With that psionic storm it would be a good target in here. Reavers are however very common for those for the Protosses, but then again this robotics facility will also make some observers in here, as BISU is playing it very defensively in here, preparing here a wall in here, And yeah, both players are just scouting here the map for any other expansions, as we have passed the 5-minute mark in here. So nothing out of the ordinary, both players playing it very defensively, no harassment, nothing out of the ordinary. Just a wall in here, and the same can be said in here with a wall in by BOGUS. BOGUS also nicely preparing here a siege tank. Perhaps he's going to siege up into this position just to not allow any army move out in here. And there is that observatory. It should be an observatory, of course, because the Terran is going to follow up with some vultures, with some mines. So BISU really wanting to clear that up. Now in comes the first vulture. He might die to those 3 dragoons in here, so he needs to be careful not to take so much damage. So good micro here for BOGUS, and BISU already at 36 workers against 30, so a little bit of a economic advantage here for BISU, as both players are still playing very defensively. The upgrades go up, the weapons upgrades in here, many vultures are being produced, the engineering base being produced here. Pretty standard stuff here by both players, as the Terran keeps exploring here the map. Perhaps he's going to lay down some mines really soon. Scan is also being produced here by the Terran, as he's very likely going to scan in here the base from BISU just to see if nothing yet out of the ordinary, perhaps a carrier rush and so on, is going to happen. There goes the first scan in here. BISU also placing his pylons really nicely in here just to spot a early drop in here. There's a citadel of the Dune being nicely placed in here. Was much needed if you wish to upgrade those zealot legs. Vultures have already been upgraded with that speed, and in comes the first observer in here nicely, and not detected here by BOGUS, as he's going to see those 2 factories and that floating engineering base. So pretty standard stuff here by both players. There's also an academy in here. BISU sees everything as he's slowly but steadily moving out, so perhaps he wishes to expand into this position here as well. And what do we have here? So many pylons, also Templar archives and a Stargate. So BISU is perhaps going to go into some Dark Templars. It would be a possibility with a dropship. He might do a lot of damage in here, as there is not any turrets in here. It's just that Comstat, and yeah, it could deal, of course, a lot of economic damage against your opponent. Finally, we also have a nice engagement in here, nicely placed mines, but those vultures taking so much damage in here. And BOGUS now knows that indeed BISU is also heading for his second expansion, so he's also building here his expansion into his main, and that turret, that much needed turret, just to fend off a shuttle gameplay here. So slowly but steadily we are moving to the 10-minute mark in here. BOGUS, nice map awareness here by him with those vultures. So like many Terrans, he's just placing mines all over the place just to see exactly when the Protoss is going to move out here with his army. Still 2 factories in here, and BOGUS might slowly move out here. Notice that he's also placing here a turret, so just in case BISU goes for those invisible Dark Templars, he will have detection in here. So really smart move out here by BOGUS. Let's just see exactly what the continuation is going to be. Perhaps this is an Arbiter Bay. Yes, it's an Arbiter Bay for BISU, and a Forge for those replay, for those upgrades. So Arbiters, it is going to be here for BISU. The first Arbiter is being produced. Of course, Arbiters much needed, especially with that stasis trap on those siege tanks, for example. Taking so many units out if they're clumped up together. It's a very strong unit. And also for those recalls, you can do recalls into the main of the Terran and just damage their production buildings. You can also kill those SCVs, so really much needed unit for the Protoss in the late game. Still no harassment here, still no big fight here between these 2 players as we are closing in at the 10-minute mark. BISU just keeps clearing those mines. There's a nice scan going out, so BOGUS might try in a push in here perhaps with those siege tanks, but those siege tanks are nicely being placed here next to the wall, very defensively here by BOGUS. So yeah, let's just have a look what exactly the follow-up is going to be. Perhaps no upgrades in here. There is that Forge upgrading now the weapons 1 upgrades. Let's check those tanks, also 0-0 upgrades in here. So yeah, very defensive gameplay here, and very macro orientated gameplay here by both players. Both players at 71 workers already here for BISU and almost 60 here for BOGUS. So if this continues, of course BISU will have the economic advantage in here and is going to be able to pump so many units out. And those siege tanks are once again sieging up here just for the defensive purposes, and BISU just continuing here with those zealots. They are much needed, of course, to soak up those mines and just deal splash damage towards your enemy with those mines. Now finally Bogus feels very confident in here. He's moving out here with that army troop out, and he really has a good position. There's not that much of a army here for BISU. Slowly but steadily Bogus is coming in here through with his siege tanks nicely being spreaded in here. And in comes BISU with that shuttle, with that zealots in here. So once again, so much splash damage is going to be taken in here, but not actually that much being taken, as only one zealot has been dropped in here. So BISU perhaps wishes to wait for reinforcements, but all of those dragoons have fallen in here. And finally in comes that first arbiter. So we might see a stasis field in here, but there's not that much energy here on this arbiter, as BISU is in a little bit of a trouble here. He is nicely hiding here this shuttle with those 3 zealots in here. Very much importance here for those 3 zealots. So here we go, the zealots now with those upgraded legs are in the front. The zealots are being dropped in here, so much splash damage is being taken. BISU already also on the high ground here, dropping on the ramp in here. So much damage is being taken, however, out of those siege tanks. And really good job here by Bogus, sieging and unsieging up here. Really great micro here by him, as BISU might be in some trouble in here, but he's also damaging here himself, as those reinforcements are coming in here for Bogus. He even has some Goliaths. He's actually feeling so confident that he even expands here into this position. So much confidence here for Bogus. Moving out here once again with those vultures, placing those mines in here. There is a cannon, however, to detect this, and even an observer here, but BISU kinda lacks those zealots, so he really needs so many zealots in here. And here come those reinforcements, but 2 dragoons once again have fallen in here, as slowly but steadily Bogus is moving here out on the map. So finally we have a great engagement in here. BISU needs to be careful with that arbiter. Nice stasis field now, as BISU is moving forward now with so many zealots in here. Those siege tanks are out of the game. So many zealots in here, so much tankiness here for him, as even those mines will deal damage towards the Terran here as well. Nicely spread zealots in here. They're really great against those mines. And in come the reinforcements exactly on time here for BISU, as he's moving here forward with that arbiter. There is sadly no science vessel here for the Terran, so he has to do either a scan or wait for a turret to appear. So really great job here for BISU, of course, not allowing here this expansion for the Terran, and he even surrounds now these units in here. So really good job here by BISU once again. After early aggression here by Bogus, a nice move out here with his army. BISU is coming back. Of course, he also has this expansion into this position in here. And yeah, let's have a look what exactly the follow. He has, of course, many more workers here than the Terran. Small economic damage, and look at that splash damage with that zealot. This is what I was talking about. Those zealots very dangerous. If they walk inside of one of those mines, they will soak up that mine towards themselves and towards other Terran units. Really nice unit to have, of course, with that speed lag upgraded. There's a nice drive-by here by Bogus. He might deal some damage in here, but in comes the reinforcements here for BISU. First zealots, of course, will die in here, as at the same time he's also moving out here with some vultures into this position. So nice job now by Bogus. You guys know that one vulture can 2-shot a probe, so some probe will fall, of course, in here. Really great job here by Bogus, dealing some economic damage. And yeah, in the end this attack has been held off, and the other attack not really dealing so much damage in here. So Bogus perhaps orientated with his macro gameplay, with his factories and so on, as BISU is moving here forward with 2 arbiters with nice energy onto them. And he's actually being maxed out in here, so he's very likely going to prepare a nice attack. There's a nice wall in here with that supply depot. BISU on the high ground. Once again, is he going to send out those zealots in the front? A pretty good stasis trap this time. Another stasis trap, even better here. So first he actually uses stasis trap, then he sends out here his zealots in the front, and then he backs everything up with those dragoons in the back, dealing so much damage here against his opponent. Not that many siege tanks. Good reinforcements are coming in here for Bogus, so he might hold this position, but he has to once again unsiege up and re-siege up. So really great job here by both players. Finally in comes that science vessel just to detect those units, but there's just so much here for BISU, and he's going straight for this expansion in here. Bogus has to repair it. Finally so many tanks are being sieged up in here, as so much splash damage is being taken now by BISU, but he also has killed so many SCVs in here. So yeah, this expansion is doomed to fall. So just some more shots here for BISU, but he also lost so many dragoons, and here 6 dragoons have fallen, and even this one arbiter will very likely fall. However, the economic damage has been done here by BISU, as BISU is of course going to recover much faster here than his opponent, than BOGUS, sorry. Now there's a nice position for those zealots here, just blocking these siege tanks. They're just dealing so much splash damage to themselves actually. So BOGUS had to of course unsiege up here and just keeps on waiting for his reinforcements. He feels very confident, but when I look at the supply, 70 more supply here for BISU, and once again he's on the high ground in here. Not that much energy, but there is that energy on that supply, on that siege tank, on those science vessel. And yeah, that of course is going to be the GG, as BISU even has expanded into this position. This has been scouted by these 2 vultures, so great gameplay here by BISU. A really cocky early move out here by BOGUS, but BISU punishing here his attempt to expand into this position. Yeah, really great gameplay here by both players, but in the end the economic advantage has shown to us for BISU. Let's just check those stats really quick, as I'm once again going to be clicking left and right for you guys. BOGUS actually more units and structures and so on the first place in here. So yeah, once again I'm going to be clicking left and right for you guys. So really great game, this time from the year 2012. Not that much of a retro replay, but still in the middle somewhere. So BISU of course at his prime in 2012, doing very well here against his opponent. So once again I hope you guys enjoyed this replay. We'll be seeing you of course in the next replay. This is Tommy signing out.